His name is Lei Jun, and for most of his life, he was known as China's Steve Jobs. Born in 1969 in a small city in Hubei Province, he was not the son of a wealthy family. He was not connected to powerful people. He was a quiet, obsessive student who consumed technology books the way other kids consumed comic books. And when he arrived at Wuhan University to study computer science, he did something that the faculty had almost never seen before. He completed his 4-year degree in 2 years. Not because the system pushed him, because he could not slow down. By the age of 23, he joined Kingsoft, a software company that at the time was little more than a small office with big ambitions. He started as an ordinary engineer. By 27, he was CEO. Under his leadership, Kingsoft transformed into one of China's most important technology companies, developing office software, antivirus tools, and cloud services used by millions of people. He took the company public on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange in 2007. He could have spent the rest of his career there. A comfortable life, a respected position, a legacy already built. Instead, he walked away. He became one of the most prolific angel investors in China's technology ecosystem, backing startups across e-commerce, mobile apps, and consumer electronics. His instincts were extraordinary. Company after company he backed became a market leader. And then, in April of 2010, he decided to stop watching from the sidelines and build something himself. Something different, something that most serious people in the industry told him was impossible. He founded Xiaomi. The idea was as simple as it was radical. Build a smartphone with the specifications of a 10,000 yuan flagship and sell it for 2,000 yuan. No bloated retail markups, no middlemen, no carrier deals. Sell directly to the customer through the internet and let the product speak for itself. Industry veterans laughed. Established brands were not worried. Within 4 years, Xiaomi was the #1 smartphone brand in China by sales volume. Within a decade, it had become the 3rd largest smartphone manufacturer in the entire world, behind only Apple and Samsung. Lei Jun had done what everyone said could not be done, and he had done it in less time than it takes most companies to plan a single product launch. He was a billionaire. He was a visionary. He was one of the most famous business figures in Asia. He could have stopped there. But in January of 2021, a phone call changed everything. The United States government had placed Xiaomi on a federal investment blacklist, accusing the company of ties to the Chinese military. American institutional investors were immediately prohibited from holding Xiaomi shares. The stock dropped sharply. International headlines were brutal. And inside Xiaomi's Beijing headquarters, the anxiety was real because nobody knew how far the sanctions would go, or what would be left of the business if they escalated. Lei Jun called an emergency meeting with the board of directors. And in that room, someone asked the question that had been on everyone's mind but that nobody had dared to say out loud. What happens to our 30,000 employees if the phone business cannot continue? The room was silent. And then Lei Jun spoke. He said Xiaomi was going to build cars, not invest in a car company, not form a joint venture with an existing manufacturer. Build cars from the ground up with no prior experience in one of the most capital-intensive, technically demanding, and brutally competitive industries on the planet. At a moment when the company's core business was under direct attack from Washington, venture capital firms immediately circled. One valuation offer came in at $10 billion for a car division that had no cars, no factory, no engineers, and no designs. Lei Jun rejected every single offer. He would fund it himself. $10 billion of Xiaomi's own capital. No outside shareholders, no competing visions, no pressure to exit. And then he stood in front of his entire organization and made a declaration that he knew the whole world would eventually hear. This is the last major entrepreneurship of my career. I am willing to bet everything I have built on this. Not a press release, not a corporate strategy document, a personal bet, a public commitment, a man putting his entire legacy on the line. What he built next would silence everyone who laughed. If this story has your attention, hit that subscribe button and the bell, because what this man built in just 3 years will genuinely shock you. To understand what Lei Jun did next, you need to understand what he was truly up against. Building a car company from nothing is not like building a smartphone company from nothing. It is not even close. A smartphone can be designed in months and manufactured through existing contract partners. A car requires years of engineering, billions in tooling, dedicated crash test facilities, homologation programs in every target market, a dealership or service network, spare parts logistics, and a manufacturing plant capable of producing complex mechanical and electronic assemblies with tolerances measured in fractions of a millimeter. Every single day, at volume, balis, without error. The graveyard of failed electric vehicle startups was already full by the time Lei Jun made his announcement. Beta Place had collapsed. Fisker had filed for bankruptcy. Coda Automotive was gone. Byton, a Chinese startup with serious backing and serious engineers, had burned through hundreds of millions of dollars and never delivered a single production vehicle. Faraday Future had become one of the most public disasters in automotive history, raising billions, building almost nothing, and spending years in financial and legal chaos. Even Apple, a company with more cash reserves than most sovereign nations, had spent the better part of a decade trying to develop an electric vehicle under the secret Project Titan, before quietly canceling the entire program without producing a single car. These were not small companies run by dreamers. These were well-funded organizations with experienced teams and genuine ambition, and they had all failed. Lei Jun was a smartphone maker who had just been sanctioned by the United States government, announcing that his 3-year-old car project, which had not yet hired a single automotive engineer, was going to succeed where Apple had not. The industry was skeptical. Some were openly contemptuous. Lei Jun got to work. In September of 2021, Xiaomi Automobile Company was formally registered. The recruitment operation that followed was unlike anything the Chinese automotive industry had seen before. Xiaomi pulled engineers from GACE, from BYD, from Huawei's automotive division, from NIO, from XPeng. It hired software architects who had built autonomous driving systems. It brought in battery engineers, chassis dynamics specialists, and manufacturing process experts. It assembled, in a remarkably short time, one of the most capable automotive engineering teams in China. But the hire that the Western automotive press was not expecting came from Munich. Chris Bangle, the former chief designer of BMW, the man responsible for the design language of the E60 series, the E65, the Z4, and some of the most debated and ultimately iconic vehicles of the 2000s, became a design consultant for the SU7 project. His involvement signaled something important. This was not a toy project. This was not a tech company making a prototype for a trade show. Xiaomi was building a real car, and it was hiring real talent to do it. In Yizhuang, on the southern edge of Beijing, construction began on a manufacturing facility designed to produce up to 300,000 vehicles per year at full capacity. The factory was built with the same philosophy Xiaomi applied to everything: automation, precision, and speed. 3 years had seemed like an absurd timeline when Lei Jun announced it. The factory was on schedule. On March 28, 2024, Lei Jun walked onto a stage in Beijing. 3 years and 6 months after the announcement. 3 years and 6 months after the laughter. 3 years and 6 months after the skeptics, the critics, the industry veterans, and the Western press had written Xiaomi's automotive ambitions off as the delusion of a tech billionaire who did not understand what he was getting into. He introduced the world to the Xiaomi SU7. Within 4 minutes of the launch event opening, 10,000 orders had been placed. Within 27 minutes, 50,000. The SU7 was a 4-door electric sedan, sleek, low, and aerodynamically precise. Its drag coefficient of 0.195 was lower than the Porsche Taycan, one of the most aerodynamically optimized production cars in the world. It was positioned directly against the Taycan and the Tesla Model S, not as a budget alternative, but as a genuine competitor on performance, technology, and design. And it was priced at a fraction of what either of those cars cost. Kazunori Yamauchi, the legendary producer of the Gran Turismo franchise, a man who has spent decades evaluating the world's greatest automobiles, visited Xiaomi's headquarters, spent time with the car, and said directly to Lei Jun, "It's amazing. You made such a good product in just 3 years." That line alone should have ended the conversation. It did not end the conversation, because Lei Jun was not done. In February of 2025, Xiaomi unveiled the SU7 Ultra, 1,527 horsepower produced by 3 electric motors, 2 V8 series motors at the front and 1 V6 series motor at the rear, all developed in collaboration with CATL, the world's largest battery manufacturer. The battery pack used CATL's Kirin 2 chemistry, capable of charging from 0 to 100% in 12 minutes. The carbon fiber body contributed to a combined system that could accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 1.97 seconds and reach a top speed of 350 kilometers per hour, 217 miles per hour. These were not concept car numbers. These were production vehicle numbers on a car that customers could order, pay for, and collect. And then Xiaomi took it to the Nürburgring. The Nürburgring Nordschleife is 20.8 kilometers of some of the most technically demanding tarmac in the world. Blind crests, compression corners, narrow sections flanked by barriers and trees, elevation changes of 300 meters. It is the circuit that separates manufacturers who claim performance from manufacturers who can actually deliver it. Every serious car company uses it as the ultimate benchmark. The production specification Xiaomi SU7 Ultra, a car that any customer with a budget could walk into a Xiaomi store and buy, lapped the Nordschleife in 7 minutes and 4.957 seconds, faster than the Porsche Taycan Turbo GT with the Weissach package, faster than the Rimac Nevera, widely regarded as the most extreme production electric hypercar ever built, the fastest production electric vehicle ever recorded around that circuit in the history of the Nürburgring. The automotive world stopped laughing. And then came something that no Chinese automaker had ever achieved in any form: Polyphony Digital, the Japanese studio behind Gran Turismo, one of the most successful and prestigious racing game franchises in history, announced that the Xiaomi SU7 Ultra would be included in Gran Turismo 7. In 28 years of the franchise's existence, the Gran Turismo series had featured cars from Ferrari, Porsche, Lamborghini, Aston Martin, McLaren, Bugatti, and Mercedes-Benz. It had never, in 28 years, featured a Chinese car. The Xiaomi SU7 Ultra became the first. A phone company from Beijing had just joined one of the most exclusive automotive clubs in the world. By the middle of 2025, Xiaomi had delivered more than 250,000 SU7 sedans inside China. But Lei Jun was not building a one-product company. In June of 2025, Xiaomi launched the YU7, a full-size electric SUV entering one of the most competitive segments on the planet. Its rivals were not small targets: the Tesla Model Y, the Porsche Macan Electric, and the BMW iX3. The YU7 was designed with a range of up to 835 kilometers on a single charge, a figure that made it one of the longest-range electric SUVs available anywhere in the world at the time of launch. It sat on the same HyperOS platform that connects Xiaomi's smartphones, tablets, televisions, and home devices, meaning the car, the phone, and the entire Xiaomi ecosystem could communicate and operate as a single integrated system. You could walk from your living room, where your Xiaomi television had been tracking your calendar, into a car that already knew where you were going, had preconditioned the cabin to your preferred temperature, and had mapped the fastest route with the optimal charging stops. This was not a feature that Porsche or BMW had in their electric SUVs. The YU7 sold immediately. By the end of 2025, Xiaomi Auto had delivered more than 410,000 electric vehicles in total, a number that obliterated the original annual target of 300,000 units. And within that figure was a data point that the Western automotive industry found genuinely difficult to process. The Xiaomi SU7 had outsold the Tesla Model 3 in China. Read that again? A company that 4 years earlier had zero presence in the automotive industry, zero manufacturing capacity, zero engineering history in vehicles, and zero brand recognition among car buyers, had outsold Tesla's most important global model in the world's largest car market. The Western automotive press, which had spent years treating Chinese electric vehicles as a curiosity rather than a threat, was no longer treating anything Xiaomi did as a curiosity. In February of 2026, Xiaomi arrived at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, not with a new smartphone, not with a new tablet, not with a new television, but with a full-scale physical hypercar concept that stopped everyone who walked past it. The Xiaomi Vision Gran Turismo, 1,900 horsepower, built on a 900-volt silicon carbide platform, an architecture so advanced that most production electric vehicles today still operate on 400-volt systems, and only the most extreme performance cars in the world have reached 800 volts. Xiaomi went to 900. The body was sculpted with a drag coefficient of 0.29, combined with a downforce figure of -1.2, and an aerodynamic efficiency rating of 4.1, figures achieved not through bolt-on wings and crude aerodynamic additions, but through integrated body channels, active weight control systems, and magnetic stationary wheel covers that Xiaomi's own engineering team developed specifically for this concept. Scissor doors, a massive carbon fiber rear wing, center lock wheels concealing carbon ceramic brakes, T-shaped lighting elements front and rear, a cockpit designed around a single driver, centered in the car, with every surface angled toward the act of driving at the absolute limits of performance. For context on what 1,900 horsepower means, Ferrari's own Vision, Gran Turismo concept, unveiled by one of the most storied automotive brands in history, produces 1,337 horsepower. Xiaomi's concept produces 563 horsepower more than Ferrari's. But the number that meant the most to the automotive world had nothing to do with horsepower figures. The Vision Gran Turismo program was created by Polyphony Digital in 2013. In the 13 years since its creation, 35 brands had been invited to participate and design a concept car for inclusion in the Gran Turismo game. Every single one of those 35 brands was a traditional automotive manufacturer or automotive design house. Ferrari, Porsche, Lamborghini, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Aston Martin, Bugatti, Alfa Romeo, Dodge, Suzuki. Xiaomi became the 36th brand invited to join that program. And it was the first technology company in the program's entire history. Not the first Chinese brand. Although that alone would have been extraordinary. The first technology company, the first organization whose primary business was not making cars, but making phones and consumer electronics, to be invited into a club that had spent 13 years as the exclusive domain of the automotive industry's most celebrated names. The man who started with a smartphone had just walked into the room where Ferrari sits. And Lei Jun is still not finished. In July of 2026, Xiaomi unveiled its third vehicle series, a product line that moved the company into a segment it had never touched before. Sky Nomad. Not an electric sedan, not a conventional battery electric SUV. An extended-range electric vehicle, a powertrain philosophy that pairs a petrol engine used purely as an onboard generator with a large battery pack and electric drive motors. The petrol engine never touches the wheels. It exists solely to recharge the battery, which in turn powers the electric motors that move the car. The result is a vehicle that drives with the smoothness and responsiveness of a pure electric car, while carrying the range assurance of a vehicle that can be refueled anywhere in the world. It is the segment that Li Auto built its entire company around. It is the segment that Huawei-backed Aito has dominated with the M9. It is the most profitable SUV segment in China right now, because it is the segment that solves the one problem that has prevented millions of Chinese families from switching to electric vehicles entirely: the fear of running out of charge on a long journey. The Sky Nomad 90 is not a small vehicle, 5.3 meters in length, a wheelbase of 3.1 meters, longer than a Range Rover, longer than a Mercedes GLS, longer than a Cadillac Escalade, available in 5-seat and 7-seat configurations. Equipped with a 1.5-liter turbocharged range extender that charges a battery pack of more than 70 kilowatt-hours, delivering between 400 and 500 kilometers of pure electric driving range, and a combined range, engine and battery together, of more than 1,500 kilometers. That is more range than most people drive in a month. Pre-orders opened on July 30th. The 7-seat N90 Max was priced at 299,900 yuan. The 5-seat N70 Max at 259,900 yuan. Both figures sit significantly below the Tesla Model YL, which starts at 339,000 yuan in the Chinese market. Xiaomi is targeting the most lucrative family vehicle segment in China, with a product that undercuts the established competition on price, while matching or exceeding it on specification, range, and the one thing that Xiaomi has always done better than almost anyone else: software integration. The Sky Nomad will go on sale in September of 2026, and by 2027, Xiaomi Auto will begin its international expansion, starting with Europe. Think about what that means for a moment. In just 6 years, starting from a boardroom in Beijing, where a man responded to American sanctions not with retreat, but with the most ambitious product decision of his career, Xiaomi built the fastest production electric car ever recorded at the Nürburgring, outsold Tesla's flagship model in China, became the first Chinese brand and first technology company ever featured in Gran Turismo, and built a vehicle lineup that now spans performance sedans, electric SUVs, extended range family vehicles, and a hypercar concept that outpowers Ferrari's own Gran Turismo creation. America sanctioned Xiaomi to slow it down. Instead, they lit the fuse. If this video opened your eyes to what China is really building, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. The next documentary is going to be just as powerful. Drop a comment below. Which Chinese brand do you think the Western automotive industry is most afraid of right now? Let's talk.